When millionaire Ethan Cross walked into the old nursing home to make a charity donation, he thought it would just be another tax write-off. But the moment he saw a faded photograph on the wall, a young black woman holding a baby boy with the same scar under his eye, his entire world stopped. Ethan's heart began to pound. It can't be. Not after 30 years. He didn't know that this chance visit would uncover the one truth he'd been running from his whole life and lead him to the woman who had once saved him from the streets. Ethan Cross was everything the world admired. The youngest real estate tycoon in New York, owner of luxury towers that touched the clouds. Every magazine called him the golden boy of Wall Street. But behind the million-dollar smile was a man haunted by an empty childhood. He never knew his real parents. The orphanage records said he'd been found in an alley wrapped in a towel, nameless, forgotten. He was adopted at age 3 by a wealthy white couple who gave him everything money could buy, except love. Now, 30 years later, Ethan had built his empire alone. Success was his revenge. Yet deep inside, a question never left him. Who was the woman who first held me? That morning, his assistant Leah had suggested donating a wing to Haven Hearts Nursing Home, one of the city's oldest care facilities. Ethan barely listened. He just wanted good publicity before his next merger. As they arrived, the place looked broken and forgotten. Peeling paint, cracked windows, and an eerie silence that didn't belong to the rich man's world. The director, a kind elderly man named Mr. Hughes, greeted him nervously. "Mr. Cross, we're honored by your visit. The residents will be thrilled." Ethan nodded politely, glancing around. "Let's make it quick, Mr. Hughes. I've got meetings downtown." But fate had other plans. When they walked past the dusty hallway, Ethan's eyes froze on a small photo frame beside a rusted water fountain. It showed a smiling young black woman in a nurse's uniform, holding a toddler with curly hair and a small scar below his left eye, the same scar Ethan had. His hand trembled. Who is this woman?" Mr. Hughes squinted at the photo. That's Miss Clara Johnson. She's been here for years. Used to be one of our best caregivers before she lost her memory." "Why do you ask?" Ethan couldn't breathe. The name Clara echoed through his mind like thunder, because the only memory he had from childhood was a lullaby with the words, "Mama loves you, Ethan. Mama loves you." Leah noticed his silence. "Sir, are you all right?" Ethan stepped closer to the photo, his voice breaking. "Where is she now?" Mr. Hughes frowned. "Room 217, but she rarely recognizes anyone anymore." "Alzheimer's, you see." Ethan's throat tightened. Against every instinct, he whispered, "Take me to her." They walked through the dim corridor, the smell of disinfectant filling the air. Each door they passed revealed lonely souls forgotten by the world. Ethan felt a strange guilt, all his wealth, all his fame, yet here he was surrounded by people abandoned to time. When they reached room 217, Mr. Hughes gently pushed the door open. Inside, a frail elderly woman sat by the window, humming softly while knitting a tiny blue blanket. The same shade of blue Ethan remembered from his childhood dreams. "Miss Clara," Mr. Hughes said softly. "You have a visitor," she turned slowly. Her eyes were cloudy but kind, eyes that had once seen so much love and pain. Ethan's voice cracked. "Clara?" She blinked, confused. "Do I know you, young man?" For a moment, Ethan couldn't speak. He wanted to hug her, to scream, to cry, but the millionaire in him had forgotten how. He knelt beside her chair. "It's me. Ethan! Ethan Cross!" Her knitting fell from her trembling hands. "Ethan?" she whispered as if the name was a ghost. "My Ethan?" Tears rolled down his face. "Yes, it's me. The boy you saved. 30 years ago." Clara gasped and covered her mouth. "They told me you were gone, that the adoption failed, that you were taken overseas." Ethan shook his head, voice breaking. "No, I was taken by another family. I never knew where you went." "I looked, Clara. I looked everywhere." She reached out a shaking hand and touched his face. "You grew up so fine, baby, just like I prayed every night." At that moment, Leah quietly stepped out of the room. Even she couldn't hold back her tears. For 30 years, a millionaire had chased success to fill a hole no money could ever patch. And in a forgotten nursing home, the woman who once gave him a name sat alone, abandoned by everyone, Ethan whispered. I'll never leave you again. Clara smiled faintly, whispering, It's all right, baby. Mama's here. But just when Ethan thought he'd finally found peace, Clara's nurse walked in, holding a file that would shatter everything he thought he knew about his past. Part 2. The file that changed everything, just when Ethan thought he'd found the woman who had saved his life. A single folder in a nurse's hand would open secrets buried for decades. Secrets that could destroy the image of the man he'd become. The nurse entered quietly, unaware she was carrying a storm. Mr. Cross, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I have Miss Clara's medical and background file for your donation paperwork. Ethan stood up, wiping his eyes. It's fine. I'll take a look. He took the folder casually, but as soon as he saw the first page, his heartbeat exploded. Under next of kin, it read, Child. Ethan Johnson, declared missing, age 3. His hands shook. The name Johnson, her name, his real name. He turned to Clara, who was staring at him with tears in her tired eyes. They changed your name, didn't they? She whispered. He nodded, speechless. Clara looked down. They told me you died in a foster accident. I never stopped praying that wasn't true. The nurse, sensing the emotion, quietly stepped out. But Ethan wasn't done with the file. As he flipped through the papers, one document caught his eye, a court record, dated 30 years ago. It stated, Child removed from care of Ms. Clara Johnson due to false accusation of neglect. Case closed. Mother declared unfit. Ethan froze. False accusation? His voice trembled. What is this? Clara, what happened? Clara's lips quivered as her memories came rushing back like a storm she had buried for years. Baby, I worked as a nurse back then. I was young, alone, and poor. You weren't even mine by blood. Your mama left you in front of the hospital with a note. Please take care of my baby. I can't. Ethan's chest tightened. So you took me in? She nodded slowly, her voice breaking. I couldn't leave you there. I told them I'd raise you myself, but people didn't like seeing a black nurse raising a white child. They said I must have stolen you. When I fought back, they fired me, and one night child services came and took you away. Ethan's fists clenched in anger. They ruined your life for helping me? Tears rolled down her cheeks. I lost my job, my home, and then my memory started fading. By the time I found this nursing home, I had nothing left but your photo. Ethan sat beside her, his voice trembling. All these years, you were punished for kindness. For the first time, the millionaire who'd built skyscrapers couldn't hold back his tears. He felt the walls around his heart crumble, the arrogance, the fame, the emptiness. He whispered, I spent millions trying to find meaning, but all I ever wanted was this, to know who held me when no one else would. Clara smiled faintly. And you found me, baby. God is good. Ethan took her hand. No, Clara, you're coming home with me. I'll get you the best doctors, a proper house. She interrupted softly. Home? Oh, sweet boy. This is my home now. These people are my family. But Ethan shook his head. Not anymore. You're my family. Later that night, Ethan sat in his car outside the nursing home, staring at the city lights in silence. The raindrops on the windshield blurred his reflection, the image of a man who had everything yet nothing. His driver asked, Sir, are we heading back to the penthouse? Ethan whispered, No, take me to the archives office downtown. I need to know the truth about what happened to Clara. Hours later, Ethan found himself in a dusty government record room, flipping through ancient boxes of case files. When he located the one labeled Johnson Clara, 1995, his stomach dropped. The reports painted her as an unstable woman, accused by hospital officials of stealing a child for personal gain. But in the margins of one page, a faint handwritten note caught his eye. Complaint initiated by D. Cross. Hospital director? Ethan froze. Cross. His adoptive father's name, he whispered. No, It can't be. He grabbed the file and scanned further. The evidence was clear. It had been his own adoptive father who'd filed the report that took him away from Clara. A wave of nausea hit him. His entire empire, his education, his life, all built on a lie. He clenched his fists, his voice cracking. He stole me from her, to raise me as his own trophy child. The realization shattered him. Every cold lesson about money, power, and control that his adoptive father taught, it all came from guilt. Back in the nursing home, Clara sat awake, humming that same lullaby she used to sing to baby Ethan. She didn't know that the boy she loved had just uncovered the darkest truth of his life. The next morning, Ethan would confront the one man who had destroyed both their lives and learn that the past still had one more devastating secret to reveal.